Hi Lumineers, welcome to September's monthly energy update. My name is Jamie Butler and today I'm going to be trance channeling Maitland so she can give you the energy update and talk about which chakras are going to be challenged, needed, and supported. Okay, without further ado, let's bring in Maitland. My name is Maitland, Maitland, and we're going to talk about the energy update of September 2020, otherwise known as 2020. And this one is a good one. Every month is a good one. I don't mean to mislead you, but what I mean by a good one is that it has a lot of intuitive, subtle energy shifts and lots of awakening and aha moments in it, and some of them are very shocking, and it's kind of the aha moments that you've been waiting for to go, I told you that was right, I knew that's what it was. So that in and of itself comes with a lot of validation. So when we look at where we've come from, which is something that humans do quite a bit, that you look at what you just did to see if it was successful or to see if it worked for you, or your retrospect helps guide where you want to go. That is something that's gonna kind of loosen itself from your box of tools to help you figure out who you are and what you're doing, because looking in retrospect is not going to make much sense to you anymore because of this connection that you're gaining with you being who you need to be in the now. So when we start to look at energy and time and the big picture of all of this, it all comes down to a point of existence. When you are waking up to higher vibrational dimensions, this whole theory of linear time starts to not fit, and you go, but it's so big and it's intertwined with all of my belief systems and how I live my life. I think I'll just leave it alone and I'm not going to try to uproot it. Because if I uproot it and I change it, then who would I be to other people, right? Because it's still a part of all their belief system, because we're all in on the story. And I understand that. But you've noticed in your meditations and on your path to enlightenment that you feel more aligned with this kind of a universal kind of, I want to say, like a moment of mystery, where it's like, I'm just in good hands, and I know without a doubt, I believe without doubt that I'm perfect where I am. Even if it's a hard struggle or just a beautiful time, I know where I need to be. It's here. So that belief that you're acknowledging is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And when it does this, our old tools or techniques of figuring out who we are from where we came from, it's just not gonna fit so well. So the whole, let's look back and see what happened and look at the progress that got us where we are today, it's gonna start loosening in September. So I will talk about where we came from, such as June, July, lots of chaos, coming away from the head, the logic, and getting into the heart. And then July, August, that's when we were in the heart, talking about feelings. This is how I feel, and getting our feelings hurt and feeling raw and feeling strong and feeling heard and not heard. I mean, feelings were all over the place in August, and they were either really strong and seen or very much ignored and destroyed. And it was just like, on all ends. That's fine. What was needed was that you were in the act of the emotion and not the thought. So now in August, when most of us, the majority of the planet's consciousness was in emotion, something else happened and we became sensitive. It's like we developed an extra sense, which is called the sixth sense, and which is about your intuition. And the intuition starts to turn on. And those people who maybe you're one of them, were just like, I don't know, I kind of believed in it, but not really. But then all of a sudden in August, you had many examples of intuition, and it got validated a lot for you, and that was really exciting. And so now you had all these experiences of your intuition, and now we're getting into September, and you're still going to be experiencing the awakening to your intuition and practicing talking from your heart using emotional language. So practicing is an interesting word because it definitely doesn't mean you're a master at it and you're number one. It means you can do this, but you might not feel like you have all the skills. So you might feel as if you're all over the place. So for those of you who are learning how to get into your emotional communication, you might feel like you're paddle boarding, and if you just lean too far, you're gonna tip. Or maybe in a canoe, and you lean too far and the canoe tips. But that you're not really on solid ground, and that might be uneasy for you. But I want to encourage you that even if you feel if you go too far one way and express too much or express not enough, that you're in the perfect place because you're present with yourself and you're in the now. So some of you will be experiencing some trials and tribulations with emotional communication, while also figuring out how intuitive you really are, and how intuition is not just a sense that we put on a shelf and go to when we need it for something special, but it's a sense that is built into your body that is actually the leader to all your other senses. It preps you first. It goes ping, and you get a gut instinct, or you get this knowing, this claircognizant knowing, or you get this vision clairvoyantly, or you kind of get a whisper and you hear something before it happens, like a clairaudient. So you're discovering what that is and discovering that it's in every aspect of your life, not just when you need it to be there or when you're quiet and in meditation. It's also why you're on the phone with your children, or why you're in a business meeting, or why you're eating breakfast with your dog. It's everywhere. It's not separate from who you are. So I'm saying this because those of you who already feel more in tune with emotional communication and in tune with your intuition, now you're going to be looking at time frames and saying, well, I can look back at what I did and who I was a moment ago, but I'm already very clear that I'm not that person anymore. So by me taking the time to analyze who I was even 5 minutes ago, it's not going to help me be who I am in the present moment. So to help myself be who I am in the present moment, I'm going to now need to learn how to open. Stay open like a funnel. Open is not dangerous. Open does not necessarily mean being vulnerable. Open does not mean you are so willing to believe and take on anything there is. That's not what we're saying. Open means I am not adhering to all the guidelines of a linear time frame. Because in a linear time frame, point A to point B, you have a system to get there, and you count it by minutes and by seconds, and it's organized that way, and that's not gonna really work for you anymore, and it's gonna be a bit of a struggle to maintain those systems in place, especially when it comes to your personal life, because always in somebody's personal life, there's more freedom. And whenever we choose to do a career or a work or a job for somebody else, there's going to be structure around it. Now, I want to go ahead and just nip it that those of you who are there and are opening to a different relationship with time, it doesn't mean that you can't communicate or show up for others. It doesn't mean that you have to trash your job or your watch or whatever it is that has a schedule. That's not true. But what it does mean is that you're not going to be adhered to a clock to do a task, but you will be adhered to your energetic rhythm to do a task. So if you've never heard that before, it simply means that there are certain energy highs and lows throughout your day, throughout your week, and throughout your month. And when you pay attention to those, you'll see natural ebbs and flows of your personality, of your character, which is fed by your energy flow. And you might find that sometimes you're very outgoing, and sometimes you just want to be alone. And sometimes you're very creative or very focused, or you want to be more indoors and held or outdoors and free. And when you start recognizing those patterns and the rhythm, you can then take the tasks that you want to be achieving in life, whether it's personal or wrapped up in career, and you can place them into those slots of how your energy moves. So I want to step back to those that are still like feeling like they're on the paddleboard or in the canoe, expressing their emotions, becoming more connected to them, and are sensing their intuitive side more and more. What's going to be unfolding for you, because you're still in the try it on, see how it feels phase, and time is going to be needed for you. A linear time structure is going to be needed because it's like a comfortable sleeping bag. You know where your body is. You know what to expect from it. You know what time it's going to be when you turn around, and you're not going to feel like you're floating. That might be too much. So we're all going to move at different paces, and through all of this year, you have found that, yes, indeed, people are moving at different paces. Some more advanced, some more slow, some more creative. Everything is perfect. That that I don't know what I want to say. I want to tell it like everything is perfect. Well, I wanted people to know that everybody's going to go at their different pace, and that if you look at the next person and you try to compare yourself to them, that it's not going to be easy. You're not going to find somebody who's necessarily on your page, but overall you're finding that everybody is moving towards enlightenment. That's what I want to say.
I got it. Thank you.
So for those of you who still feel like, you're just getting into this, September's energy is going to present the separation of intellect and belief. Does it sound exciting? I think it is. The separation of intellect and belief. Often what you know is not what you believe in. Isn't that funny? But it's true, and I'm very serious about it, even though I'm giggling. A lot of you believe in or think like, a lot of you have intellectual information, like information that you hold and you say, yep, that's real, yep, that's what it is. And then you have a belief system that's completely different from the information. You can't put them together no matter how hard you try. It's the silliest thing, but it's a lot of work, so you don't look at it and you kind of operate around those things and not acknowledge it because it works out in the end. Not going to work anymore. You're going to have to look at, what do you know and what do you believe? And start linking them together. Because a lot of times you know things. For example, let's do something very personal. Let's say I know that I can be very confident, and I know that I can be very fit. I know I can change my diet. I know that diet works for me. I know that this exercise works for me. I know these things. But my belief system I have is you don't deserve that for whatever reason. So I have a belief system that I can never have those things, but intellectually I know all the things I need to do to get it. Do you see how it misses each other? Or contradicts each other? Contradicts each... how it contradicts each other? So September is going to provide you some wiggle room and some experiences to look at the information you have and the belief system that is next to it, to see if it is aligned and supporting or not. And there's a lot of these loose ends happening. So this is going to get primed and fixed. And globally, what is really helping this to happen? Well, there's several things. Let's start small and get big. Personal relationships are developing, they're becoming deeper. So by your friendship or your family member or your sweetheart asking you more in-depth questions about, what do you want to do? What about this relationship? Where do we want to go? It's a very therapeutic conversation because times are kind of uncertain now. I do that in an air quote because there's really nothing uncertain, but it's how it feels. And there's so much change happening, which is true, that you do an inward look and you go, well, where do you want to be? And what do you want to do? And who do you want to be when you grow up? And you start having more conversation about it. And then you'll start to see, oh my gosh, I can totally have that, but I believed I couldn't because of whatever it was. So let's start talking about it. And then you get an example or at least an opportunity to kind of mend that intellect and belief connection. And then it's going to be in your career. So we get higher and higher up, and then it's going to show up in your communities. It's going to show up in the cities. You'll watch cities and places, even regions or states. They'll start to have different taglines. Like every place has a "come here and this is for fun, we're a ski lodge," or "come to the beach and this is what it is." You're going to see them shift into these like healing languages. Hey, it's not just about cutting loose and feeling like you're on vacation. Like, we get it now. We've got wounds and this is what we're here for. We're here to help. Like, there's more honesty in the advertisement of location and place and in purpose, in the theme of why something exists. And then we have lots of opportunity in our news, in our market, in our TV, products, government, law, because you're going to still, through September, see news that is completely not real. I'm sorry to say it's not real. It's paid for. It's completely false. And the interesting bit of it is most likely the people who are reporting this information, the author of the article or the cameraman or the anchor person or whoever, has no idea that it's not real. So it's not like we can look at the people who are expressing the news as the source of the bad news. Does that make sense? Oh, it's don't shoot the messenger. So it's not that. We're looking at another system in place that is just trying to keep everything a little uneasy so that it's more malleable, by making sure that there is more fear in the air than confidence and security. They realize that people are more apt to respond to their needs or go along with an idea that would commonly be unheard of because they want to get back to stability.
Can you give us a better idea of who they is? I'm not the only one with that question.
In the United States, the they is often called the shadow government, the blackout government, it is the people who are in charge that have risen above the government structures and systems that now pay to put people in place and run it to their own terms. And this is not conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
This has been happening slowly since the, I'd say, 1930s or 40s, but really came into place in the 1960s. And it's been growing ever since. And as long as people stay asleep, then they're good with it. But people started waking up. So the whole mass scare of COVID and wrong news and putting fear out there helps them stay in control more. This is very comforting, isn't it? It's not. It's not, but it is, because it's a global awakening, not just a United States awakening. That's the difference. Why hasn't this been looked at before, believed in before? Why hasn't this been healed or, because we haven't had a global awakening. Now we have one. So we have other light forces, other heart-centered people in different countries that are collaborating. And United States isn't the only system that will be revamped. They're not the only ones out there that are doing things like this. Other ones will be soon to follow. But that's not all in September. That's future talk, and that's really looking at 2021 and further down. Any big system is not going to fall overnight. It takes time. We got off track. Welcome to September. It does sound like a lot of work, but it's not. It's a continuation of becoming more attuned to your own energy. And when you're attuned to your own energy, the whole fake stories and the whole falling of the structures and the turnovers, guess what? It's just water off your back. It's not scary. It's not painful. It's not hard. Doesn't make you feel like you need to run or something's wrong. It's all seen as a healing. It's time that we all know that changes like this are coming. You already knew it. And what I said in September, you'll have these experiences, these aha moments that come with such validation, where you just can't go back to who you were, because you'll say, I knew that and it happened, and that's exactly what I knew. That's great. And you'll be trying on your energy-centric, heart communication, intuitively powered instrument, your body, when it comes to receiving information from local, global markets, just to know kind of what's real and where you resonate. And you have to stick to what you resonate with, and be strong enough to look at something that you don't resonate with. Stay open, which again does not mean vulnerable. Open just means I'm not going to allow my triggers to come, and I'm looking at this from a very neutral standpoint. So I can assess if I'm being in my own way, or if I am perceiving this absolutely for what it is, as truth. So look forward to all the aha moments, And at any time that you feel uneasy in September because of these shifts and changes that are happening, I would immediately go into laughter. You're going to find that with these shifts of awareness, playing in the higher vibrational energies are going to give you such relief. Like a laugh never felt so good before. Connecting to happiness and purpose never felt so good before. In fact, a lot of you will become more aware of what your purpose is and what you want to be doing in this world in September, and you'll just go, there it is. You might not be able to get to it right away, but you'll be able to identify it. And the excitement of knowing that it's there and it's what you're growing into is just so wonderful. So I'm very happy that that's occurring. And when we look at our physical body, our energetic system, when we look at our energetic system and what's happening, the chakra that's going to be challenged the most is going to be the throat chakra. And it's going to be about sharing your honesty and being open to being vulnerable by expressing your truth, even if you feel like you might be judged or turned away. So you're not going to even acknowledge how it's going to be received, whether it's positive, good, or bad kind of a thing. You're going to say, this is who I am, and I just have to say this. And it's just going to be a matter of fact thing. And it's really going to require your throat energy to be really, really clean and clear. And if you feel like you're not in that place because you carry a lot of guilt or shame from other parts of your life, I would use a blue lace agate crystal, and I would pair it with a malachite green crystal, and I would put one in one pocket and one in the other, and I'd say, okay, September, bring it on. And I would allow the heart to heal. That's what the green one's going to do. Deep cutting of like patterns when you were a kid, and just releasing some of those insecurities and those things that you couldn't forgive. And then the blue lace agate is just this really sweet, quiet, I'm going to tell you what my honest is. Like, I'm going to be truthful with you. And I'm not doing it because I want to hear your opinion. I'm doing it because I need to do it. It's coming from a completely different place. So the throat is going to be the most challenged. So do support it as I clear mine. Though the one that's going to be really supported is the heart energy. As we go through September and we get more, vision of how governments are shifting, and in the United States, how the banking system is going to go. We're prepping for kind of a slide through the rest of the year with money and finances. It's not a dip. It's just like we're just going to slide into it. And then if there's any shifting or big crashing and things of that nature, it'll be in 2021. So the reason of that is, of course, there's political, what do you call it? The voting? Election. Mm-hmm. There are elections happening. But the money and love are intertwined for a lot of people. It's energy. It's a feel-good energy or feel-bad energy, whichever way you want to look at it. And so the heart is going to be supported as there's going to be, the vision is going to get clearer. And so people are going to be talking about it and really like, let me help you build your nest. I want to help you build your nest. Oh, let's all nest in together. And we remembered what community was, so we're getting back to that. So let's do that together. And let's talk about that. How are you doing? Are you okay? And because we're waking up from a deeper chaos, from COVID and from quarantine and being separated from people, and we're realizing, wow, community was so important. Like, you don't need to be lonely. You don't need to do this by yourself. I got you now. And now I'm understanding that. And I didn't understand that when we were in it. I was just surviving on my own. So that's coming out in September. So the heart is really, like connected and supported, which is good because we want you to feel like you're a part of something good and whole, because a lot of the bigger systems aren't allowing you to feel that way anymore. It's just not feeling right because there's healing and growth happening. So community will bring it to you. The one that you're going to need the most to like really make it through is going to be your sacral, your orange. And the sacral is the one that deals with change and creative and shifts. It sounded like I said something else. Shifts. And to rely on this energy. When we're used to relying on kind of more of a consistent rooting energy, like this is my name, this is my job, this is my title, this is what I do, this is where I live, and that's all like a black, brown, red energy vibration. It's more dense, but we're looking at the energy just above that, where it has the values and some of the qualities of this is my name, this is what I do, this is where I live, but it has all those statements, but it says I'm open to changing it. Like I'm willing. I can see now that being accepting of change is the most consistent and grounding and rooting thing that I could ever do for myself. And that's the truth of it for all times, but it's more important now because changes are coming up. Like you're getting a lot more opportunities and personal permission to make those changes, and especially with the time shifts. For those of you who won't be experiencing the time shifting in September, it's coming. It'll show up by the end of the year for you, so you're not far behind. You'll get there when you get there. But like for the big first round of peeling that away and living more in a quantum mechanical world rather than the Newtonian world of linear matter, now that information is accessible to us, there's that. So if you want to use your sacral chakra a little bit more, because that's the one that's really just going to be needed, then I like fire carnelian and moonstone, and I would pair it with like a yellow citrine. So the fire carnelian, just like it says, a fire, it will put a fire in your belly, and it helps you kind of expand on the concepts of change and opportunity, what you can do for yourself. But if you have so much of that already in your life, I would wear the moonstone, and I would wear it like over my heart, or I'd put it in my pocket or in my pillow. The moonstone is really, really soft, and it's very loving, and it's like a slow generating energy of motherly love. And then the yellow citrine is the solar plexus, and it's a really crisp, like me. And so part of that love and change and shifting is with the me. So we can put those together, and it will help you just kind of process your ideas a little bit more. And all four of them would work together if you did the blue lace agate, the malachite, moonstone, and yellow citrine, or the fire carnelian and yellow citrine, malachite, and blue lace agate. They would all work together. So that is your energy system update with your chakras. And do I have time to do a recap?
Sure.
Sometimes I think when I'm talking that I'm talking in circles. So to recap the energy of September is to kind of look at it in a linear format, which is to go into the past and say, in June, the chaos started to fall apart. Like your energy routines and patterns that you had safely secure that protected you from whatever it was started to crack and crumble, and it got really confusing. And this is when your environment around you started presenting you with confusing information. And so therefore we could no longer rely on our head. And then we had to drop down into how we felt, because it was like a survival mode. We went down here and we're like, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? And so July gave us even more chaos. And this was like astrologically speaking as well, everything. The news, misinformation, just shutdowns and companies closing and not knowing and just mystery. But we got to our heart. And then we ushered in August. And August was like, okay, now you feel like this world's an old hat. Those things that inconsistent news in the environment is like this. When it used to be quiet and stable, it's not like that anymore. You're like, okay, but now I'm here and I know how I feel. And I have my experience of where I came from, and I now understand kind of more what's happening, what I need of me. And then when you started to do that, what do I need of me? We got to look at ourselves more than ever. We haven't had a global environment like that that says to every little being of light on earth, please look inward. That's where your eyes need to be focused. Because we were so trained to look outward for everything. So then all of a sudden, consciousness, this mass consciousness where everybody's looking inward and finding self-love and energy and healing and strengths they never knew they had. It's global. And then with that, we start to get the waking up from intuition. Wait, I had this notion somebody would call, and they called me. I felt like somebody was staring at me, and I looked and they were staring at me. I felt like I was going to heal, and I didn't need anything. I didn't rely on a doctor, and it healed. And I have this love for myself now because of what I've just been through. We're getting into September. Eyes are still inward. Environment around us still very inconsistent, almost more so than ever before. But we're a little desensitized from it because we've had tons of chaos for months. Now we're like, old hat, I got it. I'm still alive. The world didn't crumble. I'm looking inward. But now we have a look inward, hold it as a community. So that's when the heart starts to come out and you say, I'm supported by my people, my tribe, my energy, not by my environment or my government or by law or by structure that used to be there to support me. I see now the importance is with another person. So conversations are going to arise and more in-depth intuitive connection is going to occur. And then through this, we start to realize that you're perfect just the way that you are. And that there's an energetic value that's really, really powerful about you. And it doesn't need time to be associated with it. It doesn't need the structure of time to help you. So you start living more in the now. And you start bringing that greatness to every waking moment. And your life starts to change. And it starts to provide all these moments of validation. I told you it was true. Look at that. You knew it, and there it was. And it's nowhere near what you call a coincidence. And it starts to develop an intuitive connection inside of you that has no doubt whatsoever that it is real, tangible, reliable, and it's exactly who you are. And that is September.
I'm only laughing at you because you're adorable, that's why.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maitland.
It's very interesting times. Did you have any questions about what I've said?
You know, as far as interesting times, a question that came up when you said that is like, how are you viewing us in the spirit world now as humans going through what we're going through? Because like I was telling a friend, I think 3 months ago, and I may have said that even on camera before, it's like we've gone through a decade in the past 6 months. Do you think we're doing a good job? Do you think we suck? Like, I'm just curious how you're viewing us and how we're handling things.
It's like
down here.
It's like watching water boil.
Mm.
You know, on Earth, people got very complacent with the structures put into place,
mm-hmm.
whether it was by people with money or power or love, whatever reasons, safety, care, and it was water. And then an awakening started to happen that applied the heat to it, and now you're starting to boil, and the water's like, oh, I don't know. Feel like it's not going to stay the same. And it starts to pop and boil and move, and there's just so many different vibrations now on Earth that couldn't be held on Earth because the consciousness wasn't ready to bring it in. So it does look like water boiling a little bit when we look at the energy vibrations. And soon you'll get used to the water boiling, and that will be your new complacent. And it won't feel any different, even though it's going to be faster moving. It's going to change into different form, like gas with the water, or it's not called gas, it's called steam. Like steam with the water, you know, your energetic body is that steam in the metaphor, and we're just going to, as people, you're going to use more and more of that energetic body as a purpose of why you have the physical body. When the way you looked at it before is, I have a physical body, and you really didn't look at it energetically at all. So it's good. The only thing hard to watch was probably just the past several decades. And this is not the first time that people have done this, where they have just wandered off in the field and forgot to pick the weeds, and then came back and found out they didn't have a garden.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people just got really settled into what structures were there, and then when they wanted to come back and have a voice, they found out that they didn't have the right to have a voice. And it requires the whole thing to kind of be leveled out and restructured, which is what's happening in certain countries. Some countries already have that platform down and together, and they're not going to feel much of those shifts. They're kind of just around going, we've been waiting for you. Come on. So that's what it looks like for us.
Thank you. Thank you for the visual of the boiling water.
You're welcome. I like being here. Thank you very much for being a part of the YouTube membership and giving me a voice, a place to have my voice, and to help you gain a little bit more insight and what is really happening in the bigger picture and how to help navigate that for yourself. And I will say, through every step of this, breathe. Be kind. But be kind to yourself. And if you don't know what that means, start with the definition of what kindness is. And then just look at the smallest ways that you can show it to yourself. Because you'll start to realize how incredible you really are. Because you are. I'll see you next time in October, and I say that with confidence because I've made an agreement that I get to do the energy updates. I want them really bad. So I will be back in October to give you the next one.
Thank you, Maitland.
Bye. I'll see you later, alligator.
You're welcome.
I'll see you soon, Barbara.
Bye-bye, butterfly.
See you in the morning, unicorn.
After my daddy, what?
Oh, I love that one. Got a job, work hard.
To the weekend.
And just
We were way too Bye.